Thanks for joining us as we review Gabriel and the Guardians, Angel Studios' first anime-inspired series, otherwise known as
Light Rises, Darkness Trembles.
While the media is filled with examples of other videos and other anime that just they're good. There's good stories that are out there. Then there's a bunch of really
lot of crap.
ones.
A lot of crap.
Yeah, we did.
Lots of fan service.
We did review quite a few last year. We went through a list. Real or fake.
That was
anime.
just
Remember
fun.
that one?
That was just fun
Yeah,
to
that
make up
was-
crap.
That was
so much
you
enjoyable.
made up some that I really believe were going to be at the vending machine one. It was a real one.
It was
right?
a real one. Yeah,
Well,
that's actually kind of crazy.
This is different because it is a Christian anime. So the big question that I would have going to see something like this, and by the way, we went to a premiere viewing of this. We got VIP passes, checked it out and everything. And one of the things I was looking for is to see, does this have the typical, I hate to say it, kind of cheesy feel from, it's a Christian movie, it's a Christian story, and it just feels plastic. For lack of a better word. Is there another way to describe that?
No, that's where they're pushing the underlying message too hard and it's overriding the story, and then you just end up with like the story is just a little cover.
That's it. It's a veneer. I'm going to cut to the chase right with this and say I did not have that sensation with this at all. In fact, the Christian theme I think is very subtle on the level of, if you know Hebrew, then it opens up to you. But otherwise, I'd say it more on the level of Lord of the Rings type of things, where it's just
level of Lord of the Rings.
Under there.
It's underneath. It's not really blatant. I mean, you have one. I'd say the main character's name, Gabriel. And that's
a giveaway. That's a giveaway. And there's some other things that are there. By the way, my name is John Newton, science fiction author, and I'm joined by...
Oh, Eric. You are so out of practice.
I've been on vacation for a while, and there's been several reasons why we took a hiatus, but we're back. I'm back, and we're going to be doing this regularly again. Plan is Tuesday nights, although next Tuesday night might move to Wednesday because of a schedule conflict, but we're going to see what we can work out. More about that later towards the end of the video. So before we get started, hit that like and subscribe button and subscribe so you can get more videos, and drop questions into the chat, because we will try our best to be as responsive as we can to the chat messages. I think this is what the great thing about being live. There's so many things that can go wrong. The great thing about being live is that we can talk to other people, just chat right here in the video and stuff. So I think that's great. And so what is Gabriel and the Guardians? It is and you can see the movie poster that we have up here for this. We've already introduced it as a Christian anime. And it is Angel Studios' first anime-inspired series. It is a fantasy type of anime with biblical inspiration set in a mythical world of Ara, inspired by both Genesis, first few chapters of Genesis, and by Hebrew scriptures. There's also a lot of Babylonian mythology that's in there too, just more or less of a feel and a texture for the world that's built. So like a lot of other science fiction and fantasy stories, you need to build a world that your characters are going to be in, because it's, in a lot of cases, not all cases, science fiction and fantasy is not our current world. You have urban fantasy, it is, and near science fiction, it is around here. But in this case, the creator took a lot of time to develop that world. So this story follows Gabriel, a celestial guardian, with allies Nock and Nehemiah on a quest to recover the eternal seed. And in episode 1, we see what happens. I'm not going to do too much of a spoiler here in case you get a chance to see it. But this eternal seed has a lot of the world that they've created has it built around the seed and light. There's a lot of talk about light and symbolism that's going on with that. So, do you have any comments before we get in? We're not going to do the review just yet, but any comments about the world building?
Dive right in.
Okay.
If you don't want me to review it yet, don't ask me about the world building yet, because that's part of the review.
Okay. So I do have a video I want to share. This is the trailer. We're going to go through it a little bit at a time and then talk through it as we review it.
Gabriel, there is chaos in the mortal realm. A new breed of evil has emerged, born of shadow and flesh.
Nephilim.
Dun dun dun.
So you can see from that build up there that Gabriel, and that is the guardian angel, or means the archangel Gabriel,
Slash gardener on the side.
is gardener on the side, because I start him out as a gardener here. And the world, this story, there's three main characters that are in here. Gabriel is one, and he is a celestial being, and they don't just come straight out and say angel, because that's one of the things that they're that the analogy, it's analogous to in scriptures. They're saying that, okay, he's a celestial being, which angels would be. And the word angel in Greek, it really means messenger, and so it encompasses a lot of things, including actually people sometimes too. So that's a little bit different. All right, so as we're crawling through the trailer, I do want to get your impression on the story itself. What was your, because there's episode 1 that's available right now. The other episodes are not, and we'll get to that in a minute. Are there any comments that you had about the episode 1 altogether?
Altogether, you know what? As much as I enjoy the concept, and it's just really interesting to say a Christian anime. Okay, that's interesting. Right there's an interesting opener. I think there's something to be said about the story wasn't I guess it wasn't very clear to me.
At the beginning.
At watching it at the beginning, it wasn't until like most of the way through, by the time I actually figured out who the main character was actually going to be, as well as what the actual struggle is going to be.
Well, we did know, okay, so there is a struggle with the seed. Gabriel is given a new assignment that comes in. I'm not going to go through too much of the first episode here, but I would agree with them. If I were to pull out anything negative at all, it would be that. But by and large, I would say the animation style, the character development.
Very beautiful. The characters seem to be very fleshed out.
Yes. And if you were to compare, this is its own thing. Okay. It's not like a knockoff of other animes that are out there. I believe it stands on its own without necessarily being compared. But if you were to compare it to another one or more animes, what would you say this is similar to?
I'd say this is probably similar to Avatar in a lot of ways.
Avatar, Last Airbender?
Last Airbender. Yep, the original. The comedy seems to be there, at least the potential for more in-depth comedy. You definitely have a comic relief in it. There's a big struggle going on, and just the look and the style.
The style, yeah. The studios that they had do it, I believe, this is all very professionally done. This is not something that, looks like it was a school project. There's a lot of hands that went into developing this. A lot of the way they did the animation when we did the behind the scenes at the VIP presentation there was the way that they did the animation was a little bit different in here. I'm not going to do too much other than say, starting with 3D, presenting that 3D model then to the animators and having them work with that. I think it was an interesting way to do it. And I did recognize it was Blender that was being used for the 3D modeling. So a lot of people have been involved in this project.
It's a lot of work gone into this.
So let's take a look a little bit more at the trailer as that develops.
They are the unclean, and if they are not stopped, they could unravel the very fabric of creation itself.
So you see here who is involved with it. The Angel Studios, Colossal Studios, and I think there's another one there that just popped.
Some.
Okay, Don't play anymore. I just want to see who it was. So these are, we'll talk about how the Angel Studios was involved with this later, because there's a lot of crowdfunding with it and other behind the scenes, being able to make something like this work. You know, a lot of people say, well, just draw, just do the animation, just. There is so much more behind this. And if Christian artists are getting involved with this, and generally they're shunned by the industry, the industry is this huge megalith that is this structure that is already there. And if you're not a part of this, it's very hard to get something like this going. Oh, yeah. And so that's where the funding came through.
That and the gatekeepers and
a
whole bunch of, if you try to just pitch this to a normal Hollywood studio,
okay,
they're
so
going to have a lot of hands in it and manipulation of it. And
let's think about that for just a second. Let's say that you've got a good idea that you want to pitch, and you've put together a package to be able to do this. You've got your tagline, you've got everything put together with this, and you're going to present this to some studios. So let's say Netflix. You're going to come to Netflix.
Yep.
And you're going to say, hey, I've got an idea, and this is how you could piece it together. Let's say Netflix does take your great idea because it's a great idea. What do you think Netflix is going to do with your story, where it's analogous for Christ or something like that, has something to do with the Bible, and you got good solid characters there, you got a really good villain, all these mixture of this stuff there? What do you think they're going to do to it?
I don't have to imagine, because I already have examples of what they did to secular things that were in this. They already had a story ready, already had a fan base, and you go to them with an actual biblical message, the message that should not be touched in any way, shape, or form, as far as just adding garbage to it. They're going to butcher the thing, just like they did The Witcher. Which, again, if you're not a fan with, if you are a fan of it, if you're not a fan of it, you still can get that.
Well, you got The Witcher. Who else do you have? You have The Rings of Power.
The Rings of Power.
That was Amazon.
That was Amazon. Amazon butchered that one. Butchered the crap out of that.
Tolkien's rolling in his grave. We've got.
He's going to start flying.
Oh my gosh, there's so many others. Even the time one that they did, the Wrinkle in Time, I think.
Wrinkle in Time.
That was it just and changing Star Wars. Look what happened to Star Wars with Disney. So if you go to any of these big studios, it's going to
get butchered.
They're gonna put a chicken in it, make it gay.
Yep,
all of that is going to be in there. So it's gonna you don't want to. I had a literary agent take my story, and he was pitching to Hollywood, and he showed me, bless his heart, he showed me some of the studios. Well, I'm going to put to this studio, and I look at that studio. I could not imagine a more rainbow flag flaming. So I thought, oh my gosh, I can't imagine what they're going to do with this story. I don't want it. Get it back, please. Take it back. And thank God it didn't go through with that. So seriously, it's nasty stuff. We got some comments here. So this is Thomas Hall. Welcome back, Thomas. Good to see you. And he says, welcome back. I'm curious how they handle violence. I'm torn between how carelessly we tend to take violence in our entertainment versus the fact of reality. And the Bible doesn't shy away from it. They
didn't shy away from it in the show.
Is a very good point.
There's a difference between violence and gore. So violence, you have fighting, you have engagement. You're going to have that good versus evil no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Gore, and definitely whenever it comes to anime, normally cranks it up way too high on average. So you could have a lot of blood, a lot of gore flying everywhere.
Yeah,
I'd say in this one, there's a proper use for that, saying that there is an injury. It has harmed in some way, shape, or form. There was injury done, and that's a way to show it. But they tend to overdo it.
So we saw episode 1. I would say there isn't anything. There's struggle.
There's struggle. There's a fight that goes on. There is a little bit of blood.
Chase.
in it,
It's chasing and everything.
but that again is to indicate an injury that has happened.
Was there blood in that?
Yes, there was an
It is rated
a
PG.
hit, and then the typical blood come out of the mouth, sort of to indicate that there's some sort of internal injury that has occurred.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Tom. If you're talking like a desensitizing of people just being exposed to that 24/7, I believe there is a lot of that does happen. But then again, like you said, there are parts in the Bible I would say that would be rated R, especially when you get to the Book of Judges and some things happening in there. David description, but that's not I don't think that's the main focus.
That's not, and that's really where it comes down to. Is it the main focus, or is it just something that's happening in the background? And I think that the main story is there, and this is just a side effect of the main story itself, and the gore would be a side effect of the side effect of violence, which, you know what, that's happened. People get injured. So
he has a follow-up here. It says, interestingly, Amazon Prime seems to be taking a capitalist approach lately. They realize with House of David, there was a market for Christian viewers.
We'll
see. So that's an interesting point. I always wondered why. You look back far enough, like Ben-Hur and stuff created in the 50s and even stuff in the 60s, before a lot of the Cultural Revolution that was going on then. You had stuff that they mentioned Christ in a positive way. They talk about God generically, and it was common and popular. I would like to see a return to that. One of the problems I think that you have with that, though, is if you get too specific, now you're starting to you're going to offend somebody, because with the various denominations and nuances to Christian theology, somebody they're meeting on church on a Sunday. Saturday's the Sabbath. You start hitting stuff like that could be
become legalistic.
I don't know if it's legal. Just picky. So we often, because of the community that we work in especially you with apologetics. Rub elbows with people that are of other denominations that would be maybe opposed to each other. Calvinists, Arminians. You got people that may be Eastern Orthodox that could be very firm on what they believe and stuff like this. And we've got to take a step back and say, in essentials, unity, those things that really matter. In non-essentials, liberty, let it be. And in all things, charity. The question is, what are the essentials? And that's where I think the contention. So if you create a movie and it's a Christian movie, you might have more critics that are Christians coming after you because little nuances aren't just right. So
look at The Chosen.
Has there?
Oh, they've had
controversy.
They've had controversy on it, and on things that I would say are minor, even small things. So
that's true. That's what happens. So sorry, got another one here. Good point, Eric. I want my violence to be reflective of the actual horror, i.e., Saving Private Ryan, as opposed to gore that seems okay.
Good choice. Because it counts on the genre is what I would expect for, the violence and gore level. If I'm, sitting down watching a kids show, or at least claim to be kids show, or an anime of some sort, and it's supposed to be a wholesome one, and you got a bunch of gore flying all over the place, not really what I would expect in that.
You want to sit your kids
if you've got if you got a war flick and they don't have any gore in that war flick, I have a problem with it. Okay,
so that I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but you're bringing up a good point. So why do you have a problem with that?
Because it would downplay war, make it seem soft when it's it's extremely hard. One of the hardest things to go through is war itself for the soldiers who are on the battlefield. And if you're downplaying it, basically it's all sunshine and roses.
Right.
I have a massive issue with it, because you're going to have people who will sign up for the military who will go for this and go with the concept of it's all sunshine and roses.
Or the populace would just say, yeah, we need to go to war because they did XYZ.
And make it flippant.
Yeah, make it flippant, not last result, because there's famine, disease, all sorts of other issues that come on the tail of war too, besides just the casualties on the battlefield. So that is a good point.
I think Saving Private Ryan is actually a really good example of good measurement with that.
Oh yeah, another one I would look at is maybe The Patriot.
The Patriot was good too.
That was an excellent movie. Man, when 4th of July comes around, I think I'd like to do a review on The Patriot. That's a good one. So
Mortals have chosen to serve the chaos.
Mighty God of Ara, I, your servant Namaya, submit to you this offering!
And yet
Yep. Okay. So when I first started watching that, they're going to be going into all sorts of false gods here, stuff like that. And they do. I think that this set up as a false god, but they show it as that, as opposed to this. Now, in speaking with the creator Jason, after this, because we had discussions with him and some of the writer, one of the writers and one of the animators, after the premiere, he mentioned that there's a lot of things that are in here, but they're hidden. Like the name Aya is would represent Yahweh instead of Yahweh I am. Aya being Hebrew, he was saying that it is he is. If I understood him correctly, but that's I don't believe that's what he is in Hebrew. I don't believe it's Aya. So I'm thinking that maybe something else. Either way, he took those names and that's where it represents. Now that one character that we were just looking at who's bowing down like that's Demaya. She's an alchemist princess. Sorry. And she had to read my notes there. She it can't really tell too much from the trailer, but I'm thinking that she's misguided and there's other people that are going to set her straight. So it's not like this is something that is presented as, oh, we should be doing this. It was more like, okay, she's just another character in this.
And it makes sense within the world building.
Yes.
It makes sense that they would have turned away, that they're not following the Lord. They're following other stupid things.
Yes.
And
yes.
That's an issue and it causes problems.
So this world that's been created is analogous to the world before the flood, if I understood it correctly.
It seems to be.
Yeah. And so they're talking about the Nephilim, and that's where these giants are here. And you have Nock, who is this giant hunter. He's seeking his own redemption. He's this great battler. And so there's a fight scene in here with this too.
I'm Nock of the Bakura, and I kill giants.
But they need your help.
I'm a gardener, not a warrior.
You are a celestial prince, much more than simply a gardener. If you ignore the chaos now, soon it will be crouching at your door.
That's not one of our portals.
Were we on that?
I don't know.
Talking about Gabriel. I think we were talking about Gabriel being introduced to characters and stuff like this. But as you can see, the in the trailer, if it didn't freeze for you, you can see that the animation quality is pretty good. I would say probably top notch as far as that goes. The studios that they had worked with and everything like that. So
again, really, really pretty anime. It's really pretty. Again, I wish they would have been clearer if they would have played like the trailer, if they would have stuck to basically this almost this info dump. We just kind of have to do that for a trailer. If you had basically that introduction shown in the beginning, more towards the beginning of the first episode, I think it would have been made a lot clearer. But right. I kind of went in cold turkey.
Yeah. So they also had at their premiere, they for VIPs, they gave out these manga, and yes, they do open up manga. Sorry, they do open up the opposite way, which is what you would expect for this. And again, the animation is very well done.
It takes a lot of work to do those sort of things.
So
a lot of images.
Yeah, it does. I thought about doing my stories as a graphic novel, but the amount of work that goes into it is amazingly tough, and especially finding good animators for this, which they did. So some of the elements that we talked about earlier, the voice acting is also very good. We had let's bring this up. Some of the voice actors that were in there for Gabriel, Knock, and so forth. And David Evan Cunningham, I believe it was him who did the old man's voice in this. And when they showed him actually doing it, I was amazed that it was this younger guy. It looks like in his 20s, but he comes off as sounding like he's this older character. So some of the stuff that they have going on here, it's great to see how this can open up for Christian themes. Christians can be involved in it, and it's not just relegated for say that Hollywood has a lock on everything. They don't. And part of that comes from trying to break in with crowdfunding. And that came through Angel Studios, and it also came through a lot of effort on the creators' part. Jason had gone through a lot to pull this all together. Jason Moody. He was a former marketer, he's a worship leader, and he was inspired by the Bible Project podcast and his daughter's love for anime. So his daughter actually had an influence on the decision there. So he wanted to create a parable-like fantasy and not just a literal biblical retelling. We got plenty. We do have plenty of those, and they're good. And we want to see more that come out as well. But this would be something different. This would fit a different audience, and people that might be turned away by, it's a Bible story, would be interested in hearing something like this. The same thing might be said about C.S. Lewis's Narnia series. That you have secular people that would be interested in reading something like that, but would shy away from anything that would be blatantly biblical coming out from that point of view. So did you, when you were watching the story, when you were watching the video, did you come away with thinking that, there are obvious Christian messages or themes in the story?
It's definitely there underneath the surface. It'd be on the same level as Lord of the Rings. It's not blatant in your face, but if you look, it is there. It might take a little bit of digging, but it's there.
Okay.
Now, again, we've only seen the first episode, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So that's a good segue to talk about the crowdfunding for this. There is, and I was disappointed about this, there is only one episode. There are more planned, but it has to do with the funding, and that's through Angel Studios and the crowdfunding. So it was crowdfunded with $500,000 from fans and $1.5 million from investors for a first-time anime for this. Angel Studios came in, and their model was a little bit concerned about it having the moniker of Angel Studios because, without going into too much detail, there is some more background there with Angel Studios of being a certain leaning theologically, but that did not come into this. It's just a general funding for Christian movies and stories in overall. So with this, there's potential for a lot of other stories to come through too. Not just with this story, but others. And you see how much Angel Studios is pumping out. By the way, I have a link for the episode 1 in the description of this story. I'm not sure if you need to be an Angel Studio member or not. I am. We went ahead and talked to my wife. We did go ahead and make that investment because we want to be able to support stuff like this. But that's there, and also there's the trailers, a link to the trailers, which are not behind paywall. That's also in the description.
Cool.
So they also collaborated with Tiger Animation. That's where you see a lot of the style that's there. I think I'm not sure what other animations they've done. I think it might have been Avatar, The Last Airbender. That they may have done that. And Colossal Studios, which put this out. So with this, there's two things that are coming away with on this. One is that somebody did a good job putting this together, that you do have something. Unfortunately, just one episode. You want to see more. And the other thing is, besides we can support this, there is a method for getting this type of thing out there. Those two takeaways from it. Do you have anything else that you would like to add?
I'd say all in all, it's a decent flick. We'll see how the story progresses and see if it's any better as it goes through, or sees if it goes down the wrong rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
But, only time will tell.
That's true.
With this, again, it's only one episode. I would have done this slightly different, but I understand if they need more funding in it and they're saying, hey, this is working, people are actually interested in it. Okay, I can kind of see that as a sell point. Again, in my mind, going to an event like this is a kickoff for a series that then they're going to be releasing once a week sort of thing, and they're still working on episode 2. So we'll see. Because I'd like to see 3 episodes and then make a decision one way or the other on it.
That's what you usually do with anime, right?
That's what I do with
the
anime.
First 3 animes.
First 3 animes, an hour and a half of the show, or an hour and 20 minutes, depending on it. And then I make a decision one way or the other if this is worthwhile or not, unless something in there just absolutely no, this is ridiculous. Throw it out immediately.
Right. I have another comment from Thomas. He said, haven't heard of any shows Angel Studios has done that promote their denomination. They seem to be going for a broad Christian audience. I would agree.
I would agree.
I was a little concerned when I saw the whole thing you're talking about celestial beings in here and everything, but that just seemed to be a depiction or another name for angels, which I think is a fair adaptation of that. If you're going to not use the word angelos, you're going to use something else, then that I think is a fair description. So,
no, I'd say that fits their model.
So we have coming up. There are more episodes coming. There's going to be some crossover with Hatun Tash. There are Tosh.
Hatun Tosh.
Tosh. Thank you for correcting me.
Unless I'm saying it wrong, which I could totally be.
She's too gracious. I don't think she would correct me. We have two videos that we're going to be reviewing with her. One is the Kingdom of Heaven that we've already done ourselves, and another one that's her choice that's coming up in the next few weeks, I believe. And then May 1st is one of them, I believe. And then next week, not Tuesday, but next Wednesday, we're going to kick off a series about the heroes of the Crusades. It's a bit controversial because a lot of the Crusades really have a bad name right now. Whenever somebody wants to say, well, Christians are violent too, they bring up the two things, the Crusades and I was going to say the insurrection. It's not what
Inquisition.
Inquisition. Thank you. Started with an I in Spain. So those two things are brought up, and there's
it's sort of ice cream.
It's ice cream.
Ice cream starts with I too. But there's a big difference.
Yes. Those two events are brought up. Now, like most things in history, it's not necessarily black and white. But there are. What do you do? How do you handle that? How do you handle war? And should Christians be totally against war? Should we be told pacifists, or is there a time to say, this is it, we take up arms? And if so, was that done properly? We also have a discussion. Hopefully, I'm hoping to get a guest in that we can talk to about the a just war concept. If there is, again, a just war for Christians, what would that be? What would the rules for that just war be? So I want to thank you all for joining, and look forward to next time. We're getting this thing started again after a long hiatus, and look forward to seeing you again the next time around. Any last comments?
Dies Volt.
Yes. And this guy's got a lot coming on. I can't believe all
I'll be live tomorrow.
Live
and
streams,
Thursday.
Shorts you're doing and everything. You're just killing it.
I got to do something.
Yes, you do.
I got to do something.
All right.
Time's now.
Till next time.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.